What's up, YouTube? What's up? It's Big Muscle again. We're on those again, and today we're going to talk about State Department layoffs. So the State Department has laid off over 1,300 people as of Friday. All right, over 1,300 people, and that would be Friday, July 11th. They laid off over 1,300 people, and they focus on areas in the State Department, from what I'm understanding here, that deals with overseas interests, foreign affairs, and also areas like human rights and stuff like that. So, how will that affect the people, U.S. citizens who travel overseas? Right, and if you look at the responsibility of the State Department, say you were a U.S. citizen and you got into some problem or whatever the case is overseas, the State Department would be the go-to place for you to contact, so they could troubleshoot and help you if you get stuck overseas, captured, or whatever. A U.S. citizen, you get some help from the State Department. But with the reduction of staff, also the State Department processes things like passports and stuff like that, right? So this could cause much problem, including delays in the processing of like passports, right? This is possible because the State Department is responsible for processing passports, U.S. citizens. So that could be a delay. There could be delay in people overseas who do need help from the State Department, right, with different issues like renewing a passport or whatever the case is. If you get a lost passport overseas, stuff like that. So once again, this is another part of what you see MAGA is doing in America today, disrupting a lot of government entities and a lot of government branches, right? Because their ideology is they do not believe. Why would they cut a place like that takes care of human rights from the U.S. State Department? Their idea, they don't believe in human rights. They believe in human wrongs, like what you see them doing, and that judge in California that stopped the ICE, temporarily stopped ICE from doing these draconian immigration raids, which the one they did recently in California, one person passed away as a result of that immigration raid in California. But the State Department has taken a blow. That's 1,300 people that has no work right now that will have to look for jobs and stuff like that in already what is a extremely tough economy, right? So those were considered as those jobs at the State Department, working for the federal government, it's considered a secure job, which will probably provide a pension, good retirement, benefits like time off of work and stuff like that. But if they gutted the State Department, remember, employers these days, those people coming out of the State Department work environment, they're not going to find another job willy-nilly that's going to take care of their needs or fit their needs as far as getting time out of work, vacation, sick time, and a work environment, which is usually provided by the federal government. So those people will be left with no choice, I would probably most of them, if not all, to settle for different jobs or just work different jobs that will provide them less amenities than working for the State Department would. So of course you would call that a decrease in lifestyle, and and a decrease in the work environment. Looking at the micros of the whole move. You get what I'm saying? So that's another department gutted. And with them holding back on a lot of federal jobs, they titled it as they're slashing wasteful spending, right? So if they're holding back and they're putting up a lot of blockades on these federal jobs, you can't just go and seek out another federal job that easy, because most of these federal jobs now are laying off instead of hiring people. Now, the funny thing about the MAGA regime is that they'll fire people and then rehire and try to rehire them, like you saw they did with the National Weather Service, right? And how did that impact the Texas flooding right? You saw them lay off a bunch of people, and now I think they're currently looking for people to work back in the National Weather Service. Same thing you saw with the people who control the nuclear reactors when Doge came in and slashed those jobs, right, from a lot of different areas. I don't even think they knew what they were doing initially, because if you notice that a lot of those jobs that they slashed were critical jobs to the United States national security and things like that, right? So, did they know exactly what they were doing? I doubt it. But now they've rehired some of those people. Not all of those people will be rehired, all right? Because they're still pressing on with their Doge efforts. Now, we've seen where Elon Musk has stepped away from Doge and is no going against the MAGA regime, right? In the hopes of starting his own political party, you would say. So he's going against the MAGA regime. Now, will Elon Musk start this political party, yay or nay? He seems very serious about it. He's making a lot of tweets, right? And now you can see within the MAGA regime that there's some people who are talking about resigning. Some people are taking leaves of absence and stuff like that. Because you see, everything is coming full circle as far as MAGA is concerned, right? Because they've been a very radical regime in the United States. They're very abusive with government power as far as beating immigrants, as far as not observing the Constitution of the United States, which most Americans do not agree with, and they're just doing what they want to do. What the thing I would say to people in America today is you got to wake up, smell the coffee, see things for what it is, and know that this cannot work in America, right? This is affecting a lot of policies that's been in place for years. This is affecting a lot of people, right? That's been using certain systems for years. And the change they want to make, it's conflicting with the laws of the United States. And we're seeing these judges, right, stopping some of these moves. I think that's a step in the right direction. And more judges need to follow suit with stopping the MAGA regime from doing these type of things. Okay, it's hurting the public extremely bad, and it's going to eventually hurt America. Now, one of the things that I noticed is, and I talked about this on other platforms, one of the things that I noticed is that if you look at what happening in America today between civilians and people who are doing ICE, these ICE agents, right? You'll notice that they're very extreme, right? And there have been reports of people in Texas were attacking ICE facilities, okay? And you recently see people confronting ICE agents in California on the farm the other day, right? A few days ago. So what does that mean? Well, it means that the people are at a point of fed up because people are realizing now that the government cannot help them and are now taking it up on themselves to protect themselves from the government, right? Now, we all know that there are laws in America to prevent this. It's a replica of what happened in 1775, right? Excuse me, in 1775 in Lexington and Concord, this is a replica of what happened in Massachusetts, where Americans confronted the British government over taxes. Now you have Americans confronting the U.S. government over racism, blatant discrimination, outright disregards for the rule of law, and just doing what they want to do, right? And with these attacks on government officials, I'm not surprised. Hopefully, this doesn't happen, but I'm not surprised if there are other people who start becoming more aggressive towards the government. You get what I'm saying? Because it's a blatant disrespect and an outright disregard for the laws of the United States. And it has to stop in America. It completely has to stop. This thing cannot go on, should not go on. It must stop. If you look at the areas of like tourism, that's decreased insignificantly, right? Because there's so much people that fear coming to the United States. You understand what I'm saying? And why would they choose to come to the United States when they'll get chased down, abused, locked up, thrown to alligator Alcatraz, thrown into El Salvador prison somewhere, with no idea of why they're there? A lot of them seems to be people or residents legally in the United States, or in some cases, American citizens, right? This is where you at. I recently saw an article where they're a Canadian who lived in America for over 40 years, and I think he had two misdemeanors or whatever, and he went across to the Canadian border, and when he tried to come back into the United States, he couldn't come back. He was deported back into Canada. Okay, real story. It's on the internet. And remember, the MAGA regime told you they would target criminals and this type of stuff. But what they've set up, and you've seen this, is a system to push legal any person out of the United States. It's just a catch system that ties into people. So the people who are out there, who you may have a green card or whatever the case is, and if you have done something in the past and you travel outside the US, when you're coming back into America, you're going to have a big problem, right? You may not be able to re-enter the United States if you have a green card and there's something on your record, misdemeanor, a minor criminal offense, or whatever the case is. That could be the case for a lot of people. Okay, so like I said, they're laying off a lot of government workers, and the brute force of the MAGA regime continues. Okay, we're going to cover more topics and watch what they're doing carefully, because this is a government regime that you need to keep your eye on and never sleep on them. You understand what I'm saying? So this is Big Muscle. I'm always on the hustle. Catch me on the next live. Until next time, peace.